Hi and welcome to the channel. Hey, I told you I'd make a video about the little orchard I put in, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm up here on the deck and it's actually starting to look like something. Some of these trees I planted 2 years ago, some of these trees I planted 3 years ago, some of these trees I planted this spring. So we'll go down and I'll show you what the varieties are. There's some peach trees here, nectarines and apricots, and even some cherries in here. So it's a mix. I have plums and pears on the other side of the property. But this is what we have over here, and let's go down and take a look. Now again, I'm no professional gardener or orchardist, but I watched a lot of videos. And yeah, you can learn a lot by watching multiple videos, especially from people who do it for a living. And you know, everybody has a fruit tree in their backyard, but the people that do it for a living know the ins and outs. And what I'm trying to do here is put in a little orchard that I can handle myself, not too much work. I don't want to have to hire anybody. And you know, I'll need a little help picking, but I think my sons can help me with that. But I'm going to start off with our first cherry tree here. This one here is the oldest cherry tree I have. I put this in, what, I think is that 3 years ago? Or 2 years ago? At any rate, that's a black tarleton. And I bought this off a friend of mine. It was basically bare root. You know, it came in a pot, but it was just in a burlap bag with some mulch around the bare root. It wasn't really rooted in or anything. And it's starting to look like a tree. I've been trying to keep it from getting too big. So, and over here, this little one here, this is a Napoleon Royal Anne, and that's a dwarf cherry tree. And this is the second year for this. I planted this last year. Got this from Stark Brothers. And as you can see, you know, it was just a little whip when I got it. And now it's starting to really look like something. I pruned it. Got a nice shape on it. It's starting to look like a tree. Now if I can keep the Japanese beetles off them this year, that'll be great. Over here, this little guy here, this I just planted this spring. This is a Montmorency sour cherry tree, and I bought 2 of them from Stark Brothers. Most of my trees are from Stark Brothers, not all of them, but most of them. I seem to have real good luck with their trees. They send me a nice quality tree, and it, you know, it roots in and it grows. We'll see if they produce fruit. I'm sure they will. The way they're growing, there's no reason they won't. Here's another Montmorency here. And here, this little guy here, that's a Bing cherry tree. And I had some issues with this, pruning it. I just couldn't get it to, you know, it started to get too tall and it was a mess, and I cut it way back, and I think it's starting to get a nice shape now. I think this winter when I prune this again, I think I'm going to actually start to get the shape I'm after. And over here, with this chicken coming up on us, this here is another yellow cherry like the Napoleon Royal Anne. This is Emperor Francis. And this is also a dwarf tree that I got from Stark Brothers. You just stay out from under my trees. They like to dig in the mulch under the tree. You can see they've been tearing at it. They get the grubs out of there, which I don't mind, but they throw the bark into the grass and it makes a mess. So that's the Emperor Francis, and that's one of the red and yellow cherries, sweet cherries. That's coming along nicely too. That was planted not this spring, but last spring. So that was planted, had a year of growth, and I pruned it in the winter, and now this new growth is bringing on the shape that I'm looking for. Right here, this one here, this is a burgundy pearl, sweet cherry. I planted this one 3 years ago. It was one that I bought from my friend that sells nursery stock. It's starting to get a decent shape to it. Alright. Then here, that's a Rainier here. And this is a dwarf that I got from Stark Brothers also. It was a little whip last spring. And then over the winter, I pruned it when it was dormant. And this spring, it set up a lot of new growth. And it is just going to town. I used Stark Brothers orchard fertilizer around the base of all my trees. And when you get it on at the right time, get it on at the right time before they're ready to take off, it makes a huge difference. Huge difference. They need that nitrogen to get going in the springtime. This thing here is a little bigger than what I would like it to be. This is another Bing tree that I bought from a friend. You know, when you get them from a nursery that, I would have rather had this branching way down below here, maybe 18, 20 inches off the ground, but it is what it is. I could probably cut that off and graft something on there if I wanted to do that low, but we'll just see what happens here. We'll see what happens. Over here, this little whip here was just planted this spring, and that's a contender semi-dwarf peach. That's a yellow peach. I got that little whip from Stark Brothers. Now, it had more branches at the top, but I cut them off because they were already too high for me. I like my branches low. I don't want branches more than knee high. By the time they're all the way up there, then you got a tree that's halfway out of control already. Nobody needs that. Everybody likes their trees small now. I don't want a giant 20-foot tree. I want a tree that's maybe 8-10 feet high at the most. Here's another contender. This one's starting to send some side shoots out. That's what I'm hoping for. I want them nice and low to the ground. That's another one we planted this spring. Now, what we got here in the middle here, I think this is a white peach. Oh yes, this is a white giant, and that's a semi-dwarf tree that I planted last spring. And it's really got a nice shape. I think that was one of the Supremes that I bought, maybe. Look, there's even, I think I see a little peach on there. Oh yeah, look, there's a peach on there already. Oh, there's another one. Huh. I didn't even know there were, there's another one over there. There's 3 peaches on here. One on each branch. I should probably pull them off. Oh, there's 2 in this branch. Look, and there's another one. Maybe I should pull them off of there. This is an awfully small tree to have that many start giving fruit already. I know they were loaded with flowers this spring, but I didn't know any fruit set. I really didn't. Oh, look here. Here's a nectarine on this tree. This tree's way too small for fruit. I should probably pull them off. This little nectarine tree, this is an Arctic J. And that's a standard size tree. That's not a dwarf or a semi-dwarf. That'd probably get pretty big, but I've had a lot of peach leaf curl this year, tons of it. I've never seen it so bad, but I stripped all those leaves off, and you can see there's a little bit still on there, and I've just been pulling the leaves off and putting them on the burn pile and getting rid of them. And the new leaves that grow out, you know, they don't have the disease, and they seem to outgrow it real quick. All right, what do we have over here in the middle now? This is a blushing star, and that's a white peach. This was one I got from Stark Brothers. What a shape I got going on here. This is a nice looking tree, big thick stem on there. That was a Supreme, or paid a little extra for the better tree, but they do send out a nice tree. So that was planted, no, not this spring, but the last spring, the spring before, yeah. And yeah, that's a semi-dwarf. All right, what do we have over here? Did I forget these over here? I walked right past these over here. These little peach trees here. Look at a beautiful little peach tree. This is its second year here. Last spring I planted this. It wintered over. You know, this was a whip last spring, and it grew a lot. And then, of course, I pruned it in the winter. And all this is new growth this year. And this little guy here is a Flaming Fury, and that's a semi-dwarf tree. And Flaming Furies are known for, you know, large peaches, big yellow freestone peach, beautiful. And I noticed these Flaming Furies, they are really growing nicer than most of the other peach trees I have. Great shape. Lots of foliage. I like it here. This here one behind it, this is doing good, but not as good as the Flaming Fury. And this is an Alberta. That's a semi-dwarf tree, again from Stark Brothers, and planted not this past spring, but the spring before that. Wintered over, pruned, and now I'm starting to get a nice shape on that. I was a little worried that I was going to get a nice shape on it, because it looked pretty ugly after I pruned it in the winter. Both the Albertas did. They looked terrible. But I think this year is their year to shine. So, and here we have another, this is another Flaming Fury, and just look at the shape of that thing. It's just a little meatball, and I just love it. Doing real well for me, the Flaming Furies that I got from Stark Brothers. So we'll swing over here back into the middle. Now this tree here, this is a couple years old, as you can see. I bought this off of a friend. Same guy I got some of the cherry trees from. This here tree is a Sun Glow nectarine. Yellow nectarine, and I only have two nectarine trees: the Sun Glow, the yellow nectarine, and the little Arctic J, which is a white nectarine over there. Okay, and this Sun Glow really, there's no fruit on it yet. I haven't had a fruit on here yet. I had one flower this spring, but I think next year it will be its year to shine. I think we're gonna, you know, have this old wood have some flowers on it, and the branches are plenty strong enough now to hold a couple nectarines. But that's finally starting to get a decent shape. It took me a while to get that thing to do anything. It was, you know, when you buy them trees, they're 8 feet tall and they're already don't have the shape you want, so it's already a challenge. So let's swing around here, and here are little apricot trees. I have 2 of these. These are Moore Park semi-dwarfs. I got these from a friend of mine. Again, the burlap with the mulch in there around the roots just to keep them wet in a pot. They're not really potted, they're just... So they were kind of tall and spindly, and I cut them way back. And there's even a little nectarine, I mean a little apricot on there. You can see it right there. That probably won't make it to be harvested, but you know, we did have a good spring this year where we didn't lose all the blossoms. Apricots are tough to get around here because they usually get frostbitten and you lose them because they're the first thing to flower. But this thing's starting to get a lot of new growth. They were real spindly, and one of the trees, I'm not sure which one, if it was that one that was almost dead when I got it, because he has a little stand, a little nursery where he sells, you know, shrubbery and stuff like that, and this was something that didn't sell, and he was going to throw it out because it was looking like it was dead, and I brought it back to life. So look at that. And here's another, same thing. So maybe next year, if we get a favorable season, I'll get a couple apricots out of these. Now here, this little guy has a bunch of peaches on it. This is a Hail Haven. Believe it or not, I bought this little Shempy tree at Sam's Club. It was potted, it was root bound, it was ugly, but you know what? It's got peaches on it. And I transplanted it 3 times, 3 different places, till I found the spot I wanted to put it. It's amazing it even survived what I put this thing through. It could probably use a little cutting back, and it's getting a little tall. I'd like to take it down again, and I certainly will prune it this winter. But I just wanted, had so many flowers on it this spring, and I thinned so many peaches off of this, it's not even funny. I don't know how many handfuls of dime-sized peaches I took off of here to thin it out to what's on here now. So I tried to leave it to 1 peach per lateral, and you know, at least 1 peach on a branch. So we'll see what happens. I just transplanted this thing this spring. I can't believe it. It doesn't have much growth on it. I probably should have pulled all the peaches off of it, but I want a peach. I just want to raise a peach, that's all. So I'm going to bend the rules here and let these go. The deer will probably come and eat them when they're just about ready anyhow, if I don't get my fence up. So anyhow, that's a Hail Haven. This guy over here, that is a Reliance Peach. It's another one I got from my friend. It's been here, what? It's third summer. So next year, I'm hoping to get some peaches off of this one. This one should produce nice next year. Look, it's getting nice thick branches. Scaffold branches are starting to get thick. Oh, look, there is a peach on there. I mean, There's a peach on there. I didn't even know it. Look at that. It's an ugly looking peach, but it's a peach just the same. So anyhow, so that's a Reliance. This thing over here, this was a Hail Haven, and I don't know what happened to it. The top part died, and I transplanted it over here just to see what was happening. And I don't know if that's the graft or if that's the rootstock sent up a shoot, but anyhow, I decided just to keep it to see what happens. It's down here in the corner, and if nothing else, it's a pollinator. It's got little peaches on it. I see this was loaded with flowers this spring, and I thinned a bunch of them off, and I left 2 on one branch and then 2 over here. I left just to see what they are and how they are. So it's got a nice shape to it. It's starting to look good. I decided to keep it. Why not? So there you have it.